Welcome back, friends. Let us move on to next session, which is most awaited one. We kept this session post lunch because this is the session where we chartered accountants looking for what is there in the startup ecosystem for chartered accountants. To share knowledge in this session, we have an eminent speaker, entrepreneur, consultant, professor, writer, CA Anjana Vivek. May I request branch chairman to escort the speaker onto the dais. And also welcome her in the floral bouquet. Thank you, Chairman. Friends, it is my pleasure to introduce her to this August gathering. CA Anjana Vivek, Director, Venture Bean Consulting and Guest Faculty of IIM Bangalore and IIM Udaipur, is a fellow member of ICAI with over 30 years of work experience. Prior to turning an entrepreneur in 2005, she was a full-time faculty at IIM Bangalore. Other positions held by her include Chief Operating Officer at NSRCEL, IIMB and Vice President at EY, heading their due diligence practice for South India. Her areas of expertise are business planning for high growth, entrepreneurship, valuation, venture capital, women leadership and mentoring. She is a sought out international speaker and teacher. The courses she has taught at IIMB and IIM Udaipur include inter alia women entrepreneurship, valuation, innovation and creativity, funding strategy and venture capital. She was the program director at the Women Entrepreneurs Program at IIMB from 2005 to 2010 and IIM Udaipur from 2012 to 2016. She is also an author of 3 books by invitation and founding editor of the Venture Activity Report 1993 to 1998 of the Indian Venture Capital Association. The books are Business Planning, Venture Capital and Valuation. Her teaching presentations on slideshare.net have been global top 4% and 5% viewed in 2014 and 2015 respectively. Anjana is a venture advisor at Unitas Seed Fund, mentor at IIMB Udaipur Incubation Center, charter member of TIE Bangalore and invitee to the TIE Governing Board. She was a co-opted member of ICAI Women Members Empowerment Committee in 2014-15. She has held positions in committees of IIMB, ICAI and FKCCI, among others over the last few years. She is also holding a position as Independent Women Director. With this brief introduction, I present CA Anjana Vivek before you. Please join me to welcome her.
Good afternoon. Little more energy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the chairman and CA Shetty for the warm welcome. And for us, I think there are 2 things I think of myself as. One, as a teacher, because teaching is my passion, it's in my family. The second is being a chartered accountant, and I don't know which is more. Both are equally important for me. So anything in the CA Institute or anything to do with the ICAI is a real honor, and I'm sure all of you will feel the same, right? So it's nice to be here. And one of the things which again is very close to me is looking at chartered accountancy as a base degree and as a base profession on which we should build value add for ourselves. Right? I have not been in traditional practice, not in tax or audit or anything very traditional. By default, I think it's part of it is my doing and part of it is circumstance. So because of that, I have had a very unique career. In fact, people ask me sometimes, I know so many things. You've seen my career is not like a traditional CA career. It is not that I have done it by choice. So now when I look back and I'm close to retirement, you could say, I'm in that phase, when one reflects on the life path, professional career path, and I have consciously tried to build that non-traditional practice into this session, saying how can we value add, right? Because I see that I have been reasonably successful in that. And so I'm trying to share some of that. So one of the reasons why I'm here is, in the startup space, I have been involved in Bangalore, and Bangalore, as you know, is the entrepreneurship and startup capital of India. And in this region, I mean, even in the world, we are among the top few. We've even been showcased as the world's most dynamic city, a few years ago at Davos. So having been in Bangalore for the last 30 years, you could say, from 90s I started working in the venture capital area, when people didn't know what venture capital was. And I've also written this book on venture capital for this Karnataka CA Institute Association. So I have kind of seen the industry grow. So I'm trying to share some of this experience, and I have been working in this industry, right? And so I would like to make it, like I've titled the session, Practical Perspectives. So I really want it to be engaging, okay? And when I said I'm a teacher, my grandfather was a high school maths teacher, so for me teaching is something in my blood. I love to explain. And when I say teaching, it is not a lecture, it is an interaction. For me, teaching is about making you interested, making you have some learning, right? I also learn from this, it's mutual, right? And more importantly, I want you to all go back feeling that you forget this, it's 1.5 hours, time should just disappear. Right? So while post-lunch is a little difficult, normally from teacher's point of view, it's the worst timing. You all are full of, your stomach's full and the mind is not open, empty to listen, right? So usually it's a difficult session, but I want to make an exception today, and I would really request that you think about it and please interact with me. I will, because we have a small audience, I'm also making it a little interactive. I'm not going to give you a lecture and speak to you and say, if I feel the question is distracting or I'm not able to finish, I will take the question offline or later. I'll keep it open for that. Right? So with that, I will start, and again coming back to saying I'm a teacher, so I give homework. It is not here. I will give you homework or session work. You have to use your brain now. Plus, I will give you some work later. And if you want to come back and want me to grade it or give inputs on it, I am happy to do that. Yeah? Like I said, any time for any chartered accountants, it's always a pleasure. So. So this is my agenda, right? So I just get my glasses. That's the only problem. I cannot see the screen and here. Right. So. The agenda for the sessions, okay, what I'm going to speak about first is actually a starting point. So before we get into the technical aspects, right, what are the things you would like to think about before you start? And then I will talk about the actual services one can offer, okay, and what are the aspects from a business point of view and from an entrepreneur or a business leader point of view, right? It could be an SME, it could be a director in a company. What do you offer to the seniors who head the company, and what is different from that as compared to the company? So there are two different aspects. How do you develop these two? And I will give you examples. Okay, for each of these activities, I will talk about it. For example, if you will be having sessions on valuation and due diligence, I think you must have had, or you will be having over the next today and tomorrow. But from a chartered accountant or a service provider point of view, how do you take that knowledge and how do you deliver that knowledge yourself, right? So I'm going to approach it from that aspect with examples. Then I'm also giving you a framework which I personally use, which is a very useful framework to look at multiple angles, right? As you have seen, I teach in management schools, right? So they have these multiple frameworks. We talk of 3Ps, we talk of so many things. So I have a framework which I have got, which is very simple, and it just helps you focus on the critical aspects. So that you know, it's like a checklist which you don't miss out. Then, of course, how do you approach this whole activity? How do you, go to a startup, and what are the things you must think of, and what are the kind of documents? They're all, again, very briefly, because in 1.5 hours I can't really cover too much, but more to make you start thinking. And any questions, anytime, I'm free to take it after the class also later. And in my appendices, I'm going to share some. There are a couple of case lists for you to think. Like I said, the homework is there, those who want to do it. You can think about it and analyze. So it actually trains you to think of the whole startup world very differently, and the investors very differently from the way we look at it from law and tax. See, we are very good at looking at it from accounting standards, from GST angle, and those aspects, but we're not good at looking at it from a startup perspective or from an investor perspective. So how do you change that whole knowledge of finance and apply it? So some case lists, some frameworks which are there, which are popular and which startups ask for that language. So a few of those things I have put in the appendix, right? So that's the broad example. So the starting point, okay, and I put it as to trigger thinking. So I see myself as a person here today to trigger your thinking. Now, this is an opportunity for you to reset what you're doing, right? So I'm not starting it just from a technical angle. Please go a little deeper into your personality and yourself also. So it's at 2 levels I'm taking this session, right? And this is again something which we do. I think as chartered accountants, we really don't do that. We straight away get into the technical aspect. We don't look at ourselves and say, what is it I want to do, what is it I'm good in? Because if you look at jobs today and work people are doing, how many of you are aware that most people are unhappy with their jobs? More than half the people. Some people say as high as 70-80% of the people are unhappy with their work. Are you aware of this?
Yes,
80%. 80%, right? Are unhappy. So, I'm questioning you, and these are very hard questions. So I'm starting with difficult questions. Right? It is not easy to answer. We are all in our comfort zones. We have knowledge about tax, we have knowledge about accounting standards, and we have some work, we have some money. How do you get out of it? It's very difficult, it's not easy. So I'm putting some tough thoughts to you. But actually these are the simplest questions, because it is in your hands to relook at your life for the next few years. Right? And let me tell you, I'm not telling you something which I'm not doing. Like I said, I'm close to retirement. I'm actually relooking at my next 5 years. Right? Which is why this kind of session is very appealing to me. I'm getting into leadership and mentoring because that is my area of interest as a teacher. And getting away from doing my routine teaching, right? Technical teaching. So, I told you, I qualified in 86. So you can see, 32 years as a chartered accountant. I'm not a I've been more years a chartered accountant than a non-chartered accountant, right? I've lived more as a CA in this world. So it is not difficult also if you put your mind to it. So take this opportunity to at least think about what is it you like to do. So I'll give you a framework for thinking here. Okay. Right. So before we get into the framework, there is a simple question. I want you all to think about this. Just when you think of value add, what is it that is coming to your mind? Just quickly, top 1-2 points. Just think about it. I'll give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Just think.
efficiency improvement.
No, I am not. Just 10 seconds. Think about it. And I will tell you why I want the silence. About 20 years ago, one of my bosses told me this. He said, Anjana, you're very good, but you please think for 9 minutes and act for 1 minute. Okay, so I have been applying. That is my formula in life. Think for 9 minutes, act for 1 minute. And I am quite successful. That this is somebody who was very successful in his life. Right? So professionally. So I want everybody to think. That's why I push the thinking. Okay, now it's open. When you think of value add, what do you think of?
Efficiency improvement.
Efficiency improvement, okay. Speed. Somebody else.
More than expected.
More than expected. Somebody else, yes.
Relief.
Relief.
Delight.
Huh?
Pleasure.
Delight. No, everybody's going nuts. Anybody who thought differently. Now we're going on one track.
It will have a different angle to the situation.
Different angle to the situation. Okay.
Solving the problem.
Solving a problem. Okay. Can you expand on that?
Think out of box.
No, 1 minute. Can you expand what you mean by solving a problem?
Think of different ways of solving a problem that's there.
Okay. Somebody else said think out of the box. Somebody said think out of the box. What do you mean by that? Yes, you said that?
Think differently.
Think differently. Okay. Fine. So you got a variety. Now,
Most of the applications.
no, when you came to my session, okay, let me go back. When we talked of value-added services, okay, now I'll go back. What did you think of? What did you want to hear about?
Definitely we didn't expect this.
Huh? No, that's why my sessions are not what people expect. Well, I will come to what you expect, but what did you expect? Tell me what you expected.
New avenues.
Huh? New avenues, correct. Okay, you expected new avenues for your chartered accountants, okay? I hope I won't disappoint you, but there's 1 hour, 15 minutes time still. Yeah, anybody else? What did you expect from my session? What do you want to know from my session?
Gaining knowledge on startups.
Gaining knowledge on startups. What else?
Is there something you're missing out?
Is there something you're missing out? Okay. You're all getting into more levels of philosophy than me. Okay, I'm happy to at least have done. My first objective was to trigger thinking. I think I've done that. Okay, let me go back to this. Value add. Okay. Are you looking at value adding yourselves or to your clients?
Both.
But many of you started from here, you were talking about yourself more. So one thing is, okay, for me, when I come to this session, and this is learned the hard way, it is never about what I know. It is what you want me to tell you about, what I think you want to know. Right? So I have worked to see what is the value add so that I can be helpful to you. Not about my knowledge of so many years. Right? I can keep on talking, I can say something, but then what is it practical from your perspective? What do you want from me today? So that is my starting point. So this is the first, most important point. It is never about you. It is value add to your customer. Please understand from a startup, okay? This is a very, very critical point I'm giving you. We don't think about that. What does the startup want? And there are two aspects to the startup. There is a startup founder, or there is an entrepreneur or an entrepreneurial team, and there is a company. What is good for an entrepreneur may not be good for the company. What is good for the company may sometimes be the same. And this is why we say, in India we are very fond of saying this. The companies get bankrupt and the entrepreneurs get wealthy. And we are seeing that even in e-commerce companies, right? Where are the profits? But the entrepreneurs are all making money. It's still very new. So I'm saying this is a game still to play out. India, we are still not matured and really got great entrepreneurial startups. Other than the first generation, if you look at Infosys and all, they have really created some value and wealth. The next set of e-commerce is still playing out. It is still early days. Right? So what is the value add? Not for you. What does your customer want? That is the starting point. Okay? And I'm changing everything. I'm changing a lot of thoughts. Some of you may appreciate, some of you may not. But that's okay. I'm here to challenge you to think, not to give you answers. Because you have brains. All of you are here who have more than enough brains. Just sharpen it and use it differently. Okay? Now, some techniques for thinking, and this is how we do it. So I am looking, and this is a leadership development session. Okay? This is classically a leadership session. You want to develop yourself as a leader. Currently you are working, okay, in some areas, A, B, C, D. Now you want to go into a new area. So you are going to the next level. You are improving and value adding to yourself. So how do you start? Where do you lead? Because it's a whiteboard. You can write anywhere. You can go in one area or you can go in the other area. So how do you take this up, right? So what is your area of interest? What do you like? Do you like numbers? For example, I have been teaching valuation quite a bit. Okay, so I have taught this for 30 years at IIM Bangalore, and I those are my sessions. In fact, even for Elevate 100, the first batch, I did the session on valuation. So, because I like numbers, I like this, so I have actually gone deep into that, because it's in maths and numbers are very great areas of interest. So personally, I have followed that. So what is your area of interest? Some people like getting into details about tax, right? So figure out what you like to do. Is it solving a problem? Is it meeting somebody and explaining to them, right? So this is an opportunity for you to really introspect and understand what you're good in and what you don't want to do, right? So I've given you some samples, right? So do you want to diversify? Like somebody you said, I want to grow into a new area, right? So do you want to grow your practice? And saying, I don't want to do traditional stuff, or you don't want to get left out. You're in Karnataka, you're in Bangalore, you're in this zone, and everybody's talking entrepreneurship, and you will get left out if you don't understand this space. So what is driving you? Try to understand that. And motivation could be very from multiple angles, right? What you like to do, what you don't want to do, right? Even today I was having a conversation with one senior chartered accountant. He said, yeah, there are certain things which are within my boundaries, I don't want to do this, right? So each one has their boundaries. Saying, I will not like to do this, I will like to do this, I am comfortable doing some things. So also, like I said, the world is changing. How many of us here use WhatsApp? Everybody? I should say how many don't use WhatsApp, right? 5 years ago, did we even know that it existed? Right? So it is so rapidly changing. Right? And if you don't adapt to this change, you will be left out. And that is the future of jobs. So that may be a fear, saying I'm left out. Either you want to see the opportunity, so it could be a pull factor or a push factor, a fear factor. Right? And the technology and environment is changing. So it would help if you are serious about changing and getting into this. Spend some time trying to introspect. Right? Like I was saying, this is what anybody who's looking at developing into a new area, you spend some time, and I'm sure you must be doing it unconsciously. All I'm saying is spend a little more time trying to understand what excites you so that you can pick that area. We'll talk about some areas. I will actually list out some areas for businesses and for entrepreneurs and how you can approach that. And when you're looking at that, how do you select? So if you look at your motivation, then it will help you to select the area and for a starting point. So again, reflect on what are your strengths and what are the constraints. So the strengths could be, like I said, some people like to meet 10 people. Some people like just working on the computer. So if you like working on the computer, you can do a back-end kind of calculation job. If you like meeting people, you can go and do mentoring, coaching, those kind of things. So depending on which you're good in, at least from your starting point, start from an area which you're comfortable with and which you're knowledgeable about. Right? So, like I said, why I started teaching valuation when I joined IMV, I don't have a PhD, I'm just a chartered accountant and no other degrees. But since I have this ability to teach, so they said, you teach valuation, you're a chartered accountant, you should know valuation, you teach it. So I had to learn actually, and I work very hard to learn. But the thing is, I started from a CA angle, because we have no book value that. So I started with my area of strength rather than starting from an MBA kind of perspective saying this is the way to value. Right? So I built the base from the foundation which I was comfortable with. So you can also start, you can do advisory services. For example, if a startup is coming and asking you, say they want to create a new business. Right? So typically what will you tell them? You can do a proprietorship, or you can have a corporate structure, private limited company, right, or an LLP, right? You will just, typically what happens, they come to you and say, what is it? Or they say, my friend has told me to go for a private limited company. You will say, okay, this is the fee, this is the thing, give me the paper, fill it. That's just a very, very clerical way of doing it. Like you're not, what is the value add you're giving? But you have knowledge. You can tell them, okay, LLP, these are the implications. Corporate, these are the implications. You can actually give them the risks, the benefits, right, and the long term. So that's where I'll give you the framework later. I will talk about the same aspect later. Plus, I will actually talk about 2-3 other angles. Now, when somebody comes to you for the structuring, are you actually giving some additional value add? right? So there are people who say we can do it online also for a few thousands of rupees. There's somebody who charges 5,000, there's somebody who charges 5 lakhs. Right? So why is the difference there? Some of it is also because of the comfort level. So we will come to that. So this is what I'm saying is you can start from areas which you know and build upon it. Right? Again, the strengths which I already talked about. Yeah, it could be your knowledge or experience, or it could be your personality. Right? Some people are very outgoing and can talk very well. Communication skills are high. So leverage on that. And this is another very, very important point. Many of us start planning for the future based on the past 5 years. It is like mutual fund. Okay, today we are having a stock market or mutual fund. We will look at past records, 5 years, and say, oh, this is very good. And we will invest. Does that mean the future is going to be equally good? Right? So, need not be, right? So, but we make that mistake. Classic problem is we don't plan based on the future, we plan based on our past experience. That is human nature. Right? So, when you are planning, for example, driving, we never drive looking only at the rearview mirror. You have to look ahead, which is very different. You spend 10-20% getting your experience. Okay, so plan consciously based on the future. The future world is radically going to be different from today. Right? And there is this, in fact, today's Economic Times, I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at it, it talks about Cognizant Technologies had given a report last year about 21 jobs of the future. Okay? And what are the jobs of the future? Right? So, in fact, they have put it into 3 frameworks. Very interestingly, they put ethical behavior. Right? And I think we are all seeing at the crossroads in the country itself, we are questioning what are the ethics and values, right? And as chartered accountants, we are being questioned a lot in the last 3-4 years on ethics and values and approaches, right? So they have even given what are the kind of jobs we talk about, and it's technology, security. You've seen that the biggest company, I mean, you see these us actually making news, right? Paytm is talking about security lapses. At all India level, we are having some ethical issues and some major changes. We don't know who's right, who's wrong, right? But very interestingly, dreams, because that is we are reimagining our future, right? Flying cars, those kind of things. New technologies are coming, right? Automatic vehicles, driving vehicles. So it's like almost like a dream, science fiction which is coming true. So these are the future jobs, and they're coming faster than you think. Like I talked about WhatsApp. Did you think you would use it? It's a very simple tool today. But so similarly in your business, are you going to follow or do you want to take ownership? And I think being in this region in India, we are at a great advantage. Right? So this is all the background. I told you I'll start off in a different way because I want you to think. See, I want you to exercise your brain and not just say valuation, due diligence. It doesn't work like that. Please start with what you like to do, what you love to do. And this again, I was very fortunate. My boss told me this. He said, and if you see all the entrepreneurial successes, they start like this. What do you like to do? What do you love to do? When you do this, if you find and kind of relate to that, then you can get into wonderful work. It's not work, and you will do brilliantly in that. Right? So this is an opportunity for you to do that. Okay, so align, and then you can experience the joy at work, and it's like almost like magic will happen. Right? So now I'm coming to the technical bit. Okay, and I think this is what you're all waiting for. So some sample areas, right? So I talked a little bit about business structuring. I will get into each of these areas and say how you could value add. Right? Funding strategy. So I'm not saying funding assistance, I'm talking about strategy itself. So please note, everywhere I'm trying to say, don't dumb yourself down. Don't go to the level of becoming clerks and administrators pushing paper and just looking at accounts and law. There are enough people who could do that. Maybe as an article clerk or as a junior CA, you should do that because you need to understand and get grips. Move yourself to the next level, right? Due diligence, valuation. So I've just picked 4 areas, okay, as examples, and you may have other areas. These are basic starting points, and also because in the seminar you had some basic knowledge starting point for these areas. So let's look at business structuring first. Right? So the same example which I took earlier, somebody comes to you saying, I want to start a new business. Now let's say, we look at it and they say they want to get into creating a store, they want to sell goods. Now do you want them, and we've seen retail and e-commerce doing very well and getting great valuations, and that though there's a lot of loss, that is one of the industries of the future. Retail, people will buy, right? So let's say in the fashion retail or clothes or something like whatever. So you can look at it and say, you want to test out, start as a proprietor, right? See it for 1 or 2 years. If it's good, then you can create the company. That's one way of looking at it. Or if they say they already come with a background, they come from a family business with a background in retail or knowledge about that industry, or having worked in a similar industry, and 2-3 of them are there, maybe it's a corporate structure, because then they are saying that they want to get funding, they want to grow. Then it's for venture capital and funding, you cannot have a proprietorship. So rather than building the value, because then what happens if you start as a proprietor and then convert to a company, you may lose on the brand and the value later. So here what you must do is understand what is the long-term vision of the entrepreneur, where do they want to go, and in that situation, first of all you have to help them analyze their vision, saying is that vision, is it making sense? Are they capable of it? So somebody comes, for example, just this week, okay, I had a mentoring session at TIE. So I'm a member of TIE, where TIE is the world's largest association of entrepreneurs. So this fellow, a young fellow, okay, he came and he's worked in an industry for aggregating for rentals. Okay, he has created and he has worked with this company in that space in North India, and he wants to start it in Bangalore. And his point was, everybody is getting money. I have this idea, but I don't even want to do the app till I get money. I want investment. Now, why will somebody give him money just like that? Right? He has to put, what is his commitment? He said, no, I don't mind putting a few lakhs. He wants to raise 2 crore money. Is now, I actually gave him a lot of inputs which he may not have been happy with, because you know how typically if 500 people go for funding, do you know how many get money? 1 or 2 out of 500 only get money. It is that bad. Okay. So how can one build a business idea on the guarantee that you will get money? So this is what we tell entrepreneurs also. Any entrepreneur comes to me, I will tell them, it is foolish to build a plan saying my probability, with the probability of 1 in 500 companies getting money, I cannot build a plan saying definitely I get money, then I will do this. What if you don't get money? Should you not have a plan, a scenario without money? Right? So these are the ways you should actually guide them, and the knowledge is with you. So you have to step outside saying just a technical regulatory aspect saying build a business. And the third aspect is also brand. Does a company have a brand or a proprietorship have a brand? People give more importance if you're a brand, right? If it's a company, others who are buying from you or even otherwise, they may take you more seriously. In some lines of business. In some lines of business, being a proprietor is okay. So it is not just about technical, legal aspects. It is also about brand value. It is about perception. It is about where you want to go. Yeah. So how many of you here have actually been involved in setting up a business? If somebody has come to you to set up a business, right? Can you just raise your hands? Okay, at least about half the people in the room. Now, have you actually looked at it from these angles? How many of you looked at it from these angles? Okay, that's only 1 or 2 hands, right? How many of you have not looked at it from these angles? You want to raise your hands or you not? So this is how, we're saying starting from your comfort zone when people come to you. So if you give them guidance today, they may or may not come to you, but tomorrow when they think about it, they will feel that you are the person who has helped them understand the business. Because many times, I'm part of some 2-3 startup groups also. They all complain, saying that the CA just told them this is good. So, it's just not even something which you take half an hour, 1 hour to listen to them why they want to do this. Are you doing that? So the most important thing is to listen to them and understand why they are doing this, what they want to do, what is their dream, what is their vision. And then you give the advice saying this, and then it's up to them to choose. Or you can say, this doesn't make sense, I cannot do this. Right? If you don't want to do this. So these are some of the aspects you consider when you are structuring. So funding strategy, when you are looking at funding strategy, right? If there are questions, you can stop me, and or if you have any points. Yeah.
You just go to one slide
Back.
yeah. So you said brand, okay?
Brand.
So when you talk about brand, what are you actually talking? Say, if I have an idea.
From a startup funding seminar point of view, see there are 3-4 aspects. There are some tangible hard aspects. Structure, which we know, legal, audit, tax, law. Brand becomes very important from a startup perspective when they want to go for funding. From an investor perspective, a company has more weightage. And also valuation perspective. So building a brand, you're building something, people's perception of you as somebody serious. That's what I mean.
I understand that, say, at the initial stage, you have an idea, okay? You implement an idea and make it a prototype.
Right.
After you make it a prototype, you actually take it to the next level. You actually need funding.
Yes.
Okay, so that is where a lot of companies are lacking.
Yeah, India is, the reality is there is no money.
Then the brand is not built. The brand
No, so the point I was making here was between a proprietorship and a corporate, the perception of the corporate is much more from the world. It's as simple as that. That's what I mean. Because somebody looks at a company versus a proprietorship, they'll feel the person who's running the company is more serious and has a long-term thought. Okay, so from a brand, from an outsider point of view, the brand for a company is much more than the proprietorship, though the business may be the same. So if somebody is selling, say, like I said, a retail store, one is a proprietorship, one is a company structure, people will feel the company structure is, the perception of the company has a higher weightage. So it's as simple as that's what I meant. Yeah. In my context, I meant that. So I'll say when you're structuring, so that's why I put business structure. These are, people should be aware that there is a brand perception attached to a structure. It is not just about legal structure. Yeah, so this is the point I'm trying to highlight here. I'm glad you asked the question. Saying we only look at the legal and the tax and the audit point of view. We don't look at the other soft issues. In this case, brand is another perspective. Funding is another perspective because proprietorship will not get money. Right? VC funding will only go to a corporate structure. So you have to understand that there are more aspects than only tax and law. Yeah? I hope that point is clear. So when you're giving structuring advice, you have to go beyond the traditional points.
Does it also include geography?
Geography also, yes. Geography is very important. So in fact, if you see, yeah, I'm glad actually I will add that point. That's why I said I also learned. So geography is important in the sense that, we sometimes say the same company set up in India versus a company set up in the US or Europe, the same business may be there, the value may be higher. Or a company in Bangalore versus a company in, say, Tier 3 city in, say, North India, right? Definitely the Bangalore, the investors would prefer this. Why do people prefer to fund IIT students who have nothing really to go for them in experience? Because there's a brand perception behind the person. Right? So geography matters, education matters. So all these issues matter in the structuring. It is not only our view of, say, law and tax and say you're compliant. So what we look at is compliance and risk. We don't look beyond that. So that's the point. When you're getting into value-added services, you have to look at the overall picture. And he brought out a good point as geography. You may have some other points. And this you will get with experience. As you keep doing it, you will get better and better. Right? So you have to go with the mindset of value adding to the customer. So again, like I said, it is not about what you know. I know law, I know tax, I know the accounting standards. It's not about that. What is good for the business? What is good for the entrepreneur? That's your starting point. Yeah. So yeah, please make it interactive. Then only my session, because you will have questions. Then only I can make it more meaningful. Otherwise, it is just one lecture I give you and a few points. So So the next is about funding, right? So what is the funding strategy? So when funding strategy is talked about, in fact I have a slide on what are the kinds of funds available in the appendix. So the investors could be angel investors, it could be VCs. Did you have the session on funding?
Yeah.
It's finished, right? So you heard about it. Not only that, it could be even debt. Today, again, today's Economic Times talks about venture debt being picked up. What is that? Did we talk about venture debt? So you're aware of it, right? So venture debt, then there's incubation. IIM Bangalore, all these colleges, they all have incubation centers. They give some 25 lakhs, 50 lakhs, government of India money is there, right? So should they do that, or should they go to a private party? Which is better for them? So again, you have to get into a lot of strategic views and get to understand what is the impact of this funding. So for example, there was one company which, this many years ago, they had got funding from one of the people in the mining areas. Okay, it was money which was unaccounted and had come in, 2 crores money they got into the business, and it had become a corporate. And when the industry came down, those people wanted the 2 crore back. First of all, they didn't have any agreement, because this was a private limited company for entrepreneurship, and these people had sunk the money in technology product development. How can they return money? There was even no trade. It has not even come through their account. It has come through somebody's personal account somewhere. So there was a mess. This was many years ago when such things were also happening. The trade was not there, not online. So like this, when people are not even aware and they're making all these mistakes, right? So is that the kind of money which is giving a brand value? So for example, let's say there's a startup and Nandan Nilekani or Ratan Tata said they will give money versus and they say they will take 20% of the company, right? They're through their venture capital funds. Let's say they have funds. At least earlier they have been investing. So let us say they will give some, say 5 crores and take 20%. Somebody else comes, right, who has a lot of wealth but who doesn't have a great reputation and says, I will give the same 5 crores but I will take only 10%. Now what will you advise? Will you tell this person, a technology startup, to take money and give away a 10% or a 20%? 20%. So 20%, everybody is saying that in real life. So you have to think, okay, if it is 50% versus 10%, so these become hard decisions. So the brand value, and I'm going back to brand, okay, I keep using the word the brand value not from a marketing point of view, but see what you are associated with. So if you have somebody who is known for having a lot of money associating with your company, then you are also tarred with that brush. Okay, do you want it or no? So it depends on your personal boundaries and your personal value systems. And especially when you're looking at VC money and all, they of course claim publicly that they don't want to take anything which is unethical or not clean, right? So then you may not even be able to raise VC funding. So you will go to a certain level and then you will get stuck, right? So then how do you actually look at the long-term growth of the business? So when you're looking at long-term growth plans, the strategy becomes very important. Is it debt? Is it equity? And if it is debt or loan, do we have the ability to repay? We know all that, right? Ability to repay interest. And VC funding. So I think by now people are a little educated that VC funding is not about profitability. But I remember 5 years back people will say, I have consistent 10% profit, right? Or 20% profit. And why is the VC not coming to me? Why is he funding Flipkart, right? Because that's a different game. You're playing a cricket match, a one-day cricket match versus a test match versus football versus hockey. They're all different games, but they're all games where people run on the field and there's a ball. So you have to understand what game you're playing. Are you playing for angel funding? Are you playing for venture capital? Are you playing for debt? It's all finance. It's very, very different. So far, traditionally, loans have been very similar, right? It's on some collateral or discounting on future income and a percentage. But VC money is not about that. What is VC money about?
Valuation.
Valuation. And what is valuation?
Markets.
10 rupee. 10 rupees has to become 100 rupees. 50 rupees, 100 rupees. Right? Yeah, you have a question? Anybody has? So how does a 10 rupee become 100 rupees is the thing. Yes.
Just a simple question. When somebody comes to you at a very early stage, say
Yeah.
talk about seed capital, when you're looking at investor, typically a funding strategy, what is the time horizon you look at? Is it 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years?
So I am actually going to address that. Yeah, and I have a table also. I have something called a cap table. It depends on the line of business. If it's biotech, it's very different. So you have to actually think through. And your point is most important. So I've talked about that. The last point I'm making, possible valuations on cap table. You actually asked me the same point, which is making you put it in the question form. And I have a cap table illustration. I will show that to you in the appendix. So, see, when you're talking from market share, how does 10 rupees become 100 rupees? And I know you've done the valuation, but I just want to put it, since I'm looking at it not from valuation per se, but from you understanding to build your practice, okay? So I'm going a different routes to whatever your sessions are on valuation. So if you want 100 to be, 10 to become 100, what does this mean? Basically, you have to grow. It is like your accounting standards on intangible assets, right? So there has to be a market, there has to be ability to capture the market, there has to be capability to capture the market from the entrepreneur, capability of the business to grow. For example, many of us from Bangalore would have seen Infosys versus hundreds of companies, right? Because all of us, like I said, I also qualified so many years ago and I've grown up seeing Infosys before it was listed, right? There are many people who said, mine is also like Infosys, but why is it that they beat others? I'm not talking of Infosys today, but what is it which made them different? So investors will bet on that company which is different, which can capture the market. So market is there, but an Infosys could capture the market, right? And today we are seeing, I'm talking about listed companies. Recently what has happened? HCL has overtaken Wipro. For some reason Wipro has not been able to grow, right? Infosys and Wipro are very similar. And this is no statement for or against anybody. I'm just giving examples which we all. So what is it that has made Wipro not grow and Infosys grow? Right? So what are those qualities? So that market share is also, when you're looking at funding, you have to look at the entrepreneurs and the team. That's the most important thing. It is not only the market, does the team have the ability to grow? Do they have the desire to grow? So I may not, so for example, I can teach, let's say, but do I really want to go to Stanford and teach? Am I having that ambition? No. But there's somebody who has that ambition, that person will reach there. Right? So it's the ambition also and the desire. Right? So do they really want to do it? So when you're backing the entrepreneur, you have to be sure that the entrepreneur has the capability. And this is very important for you. Because if the entrepreneur does not have the capability, or you think the entrepreneur is lacking, do you fill the gap with a mentor? Right? Or do you say, no, because then in effect, when you're getting investment for them, you already know they will not succeed. So you are letting your investor down. You are there for the long term. You are not there just for one entrepreneur. So are you doing justice to the investor and the ecosystem? So these are all in the funding strategy. It's a very, very, not a simple one-layered question. You have to go beyond all this. Right? And I think that's the complexity I'm trying to bring out. It is simple, but you have to look at it from different angles of not just yourself, but all the stakeholders of the ecosystem. So just to give another example of what is market share, okay, I will take that example later, depending on, I think, the time factor. So this valuation and cap table is important, right? So probably what I will do is actually straight away go to that and show you that table. All my other slides are readable. This is not, but the presentation is available to you. I think they will put it online and it will be distributed also, so you can see it. So basically, this is one thing when you're going for funding strategy. This is one table which is must when you're building. So what do you do when you go for investment? Supposing you're helping somebody for investment, what's the basic you need? You will go to 4 or 5 investors, right? You will select. Let us say I'll go back to the list of investors. What are the documents you take for investment? There's something called a business plan or information memorandum. Then there's a valuation exercise, right? And as part of the valuation exercise, this is one thing which you have to do. This is basically about valuation from start to exit. So you start off here, and like I said, it's very small. It's just an illustration. Because it's Excel, it cannot be fit into one slide in a bigger way. Basically, what it shows is two entrepreneurs have started with 10 lakhs. So they have 50%. Then they get 10 lakh investment. Okay, then it goes down, their percentage at a valuation. So they go down to, the investor gets 4%. Then for a 1 crore, one investor gets 20%, and finally they exit. So basically what happens is, I'll try and see if I can make this bigger. Right. So this is what we are talking about, right? Founder 1, founder 2, right? So the percentage drops. And this is something, again, it's your homework, you can study. For those of you who want, if you have questions, you can come back to me. I put it very clearly, the mathematics is there. So basically what happens is, the 1 crore for the founder 1 becomes 17 crores. For the angel investor, 10 lakhs becomes 1.44. For somebody else, 1 crore becomes 9 crores. Right? And for the other person, 5 becomes 15. So 3 times, 9 times, 14 times, 345 times. Of course, please understand, the founder 1 and 2 are in the company. So it's also like an equivalent of their salary and time. So they have got the maximum return. Right? In addition to this, they would have got some salary or something. So this is the kind of multiple we are looking for in funding. So to your question, actually you should have some idea. Nobody can predict. We know, like you say, what will be. All that is, it is not predictable, but this is something which investors look for. So this is part of the planning exercise which you must do with the entrepreneur. Saying where do you want to go, what is the dream, what is the possibility. So this cap table is a very important exercise and background which you must work on. And the other thing is I said I will show you the list of investors. This is also there in the appendix. Right? It's an illustrative investor list with seed fund, angel fund. Of course, you've done your session. So, I talked about funding strategy. So, for example, this is again a true situation. There was one company which had raised money from a social fund. So, they were working, let us say, in the hospital sector for tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which is low cost hospitals. Okay, so they were making some profits and some margins, but the fund had a social objective saying we should work with low income groups basically. So they had put a few crores. Now the next round of funding they needed, so all this funding is not about just getting one set of funding. Right? When you look at startup and like you rightly said, asked, where does the startup want to go? Like Flipkart has gone into acquisition, right? So what are the 3 exits? From an investor, how does the investor make money? So startup funding is linked to exit. As soon as they enter, they are thinking of leaving. Because at leaving, what's the valuation? How do I make my 10 rupees into 100? Only when I sell it at exit. So sale can happen through M&A or subsequent rounds, okay, or IPO or buyback. That's all, right? So those are the exits.
Buyback is also popular.
Buyback is the worst option. Yeah. Otherwise it's zero. Okay. We know. So I'm saying this is an educated audience. I don't have to talk to you about all that. So people keep saying buyback. So unless there is an exit option, how will the 10 become 100? Right? So the reality is you must show how they can make 100. So an investor comes in saying I want 100 rupees. So you have to show the cap table. So going back to my example, the social fund had put some money and they were not looking at 10 becoming 100. They said if 10 becomes 30, it's okay. Right? They said 10, it's much more than the bank funding also, right? And why are they saying 10 should become 100? Do you know the logic for it?
Failures.
Out of 10 companies, 1 or 2 will give that 100. The rest will all fail or 10 may become 12, like a bank interest or less than that. Right? Or like a debt fund. So this one and multiple will make them a lot of money to more than make up for the other. So IRR for the fund is something like 20-25%. Now rupee term, dollar term. So the investors will look for all this. Now coming back to that example, the social fund said they have built the business plan saying 10 rupees becomes 30 rupees on exit. Now the VC came in and said, fantastic, lovely market, great, but I don't want 30 rupees, I want 100 rupees. So investor A and investor B divergent. So B didn't come in. They said we can't go with social fund because in the board meeting there will be a clash. Right? So that is also when you are talking funding strategy, getting the social funding, they were so excited saying we've got 5 crores to start and we can manage in this area. But later on that same advantage becomes a disadvantage. So please think longer term, don't think short term. Funding strategy, these are the things you have to think about. Yeah? Any other questions? I'll go back then to the original.
Also about, how much to raise and what time also raise. How much to raise?
Yeah, that's why the cap table. So you have to think. So those are all hypothetical. So when you build your business plan, you build that, right?
Ma'am, can we ask you for some homework on this last slide?
You can ask anything. Yeah, what you want homework?
Ma'am, no, we would like to give you just update. Do you have any benchmarks, each class of investors looking to exit at and the typical time horizons they look at? That would really help.
See, you may have some of this in public domain. Yeah, so it changes, it varies also. For example, if you follow the Flipkart example, and I've been using Flipkart regularly for my teaching in a lot of my earlier slides. So the valuation, you see the valuation go up and down. So the reality is that, last 2-3 years there was no exit because the market was down. Now suddenly we are having exit. So it depends on the market at a point in time.
So there is a market share and the market size for the startups.
Yes, market size is actually very, very important, more important. And market share also, because otherwise if you have if you are among the 4th of FC, Flipkart and all, the others disappeared. Flipkart swallowed them, Ola swallowed, taxi for sure. So market share and size both are important.
Only benchmark these market size when you come to these valuations.
How do you?
Benchmark is the market size itself is a
Yeah, so it is all, if you look at even,
strong percentage.
yeah, you have to go to databases. There are enough databases, but the point is, reality nobody knows, okay, and I'm being very upfront here because I'm extremely skeptical, though I'm supposed to be an expert, I'm very questioning because see, even Reliance, if you know, when Jio started, when they first came, first avatar, they crashed, right? They could not capture any market. So the market they had predicted they could not. Now they captured because it's free, subsidized. Okay, if you see even Flipkart, and I'm being very open as a professional, as a finance professional, what has Flipkart done? The entrepreneurs have been funded in the business, but they have sold to Walmart. Walmart stocks have tanked. Still the model is not profitable, which is why I'm saying it is phase 1, yes, maybe. But phase 2, you have to wait and see what is the story. Whereas, okay, when we talk of Amazon, what is Amazon?
Marketplace.
Is it?
Marketplace.
Where is Amazon's money coming from? What is the cash cow? Cloud. Cash, cloud. It's a cash making business. Okay, so that's why it can afford to subsidize us in India. They are making money somewhere, it's like charity. You know, the hospitals which are here, somebody says charity. So they make money somewhere, they can afford to subsidize. They are entering. So these MNCs, when they penetrate markets, like you see Kellogg's and all, they can afford to put a lot of money and have a loss. And similarly, the e-commerce are being subsidized by the venture capitalists. Ultimately, they will want financial return. So that return we have to see. And if you look at please look at the top technology companies. Which are the top technology companies? Apple, Alphabet. Apple also makes money. You just see finally, as chartered accountants, there has to be profit. Maybe not in 5 years, maybe 15 years, but there has to be some view of profit. So in an Apple, there is profit product. In Google, there is profit through advertisement. In Facebook, there is profit. Amazon cloud, it's another line of business. So ultimately they have to, Flipkart has to, or whatever, they have to get into a line of business which is sustainable, profitable, then long-term value is created. But in the meanwhile, they can make money, like you said, from another investor. There is always one more investor now. They have made money at Walmart's expense. Why? Because why is that strategy? So again, valuation comes if you are strategically placed. Why is Walmart paid? Indian entry, and Amazon has overtaken in the US. We are the next biggest market. Alibaba is there in China. So because of market size and wanting market share, so they have come in here. Okay, so acquisitions happen because of this. Now whether it will be right or wrong, we don't know. 5 years later we will know. But these are the reasons. It's not that they are fools and idiots. Okay, but this is one aspect. Now again, I'm saying as chartered accountants, we have another aspect, which normally we don't call out the elephant in the room. But I'm not saying this happens in all deals, in some deals, some places. What is that? There's money conversion which goes on. Right? So there are deals which happen on genuinely on value, there are deals which happen on money flow. Right? Color of money changing both ways and money flow. So we have to be very conscious, and in today's world you have to choose and understand which side you are taking, which path you are taking, right? And I think that becomes very important for all of us to personally, when you're reinventing yourself, to look at that very carefully, saying what is it which gives you joy and gives you the good energy. Yeah. So,
ma'am, this a different context I can't name, but I heard a very senior venture capitalist saying that they often look at valuations that if the customer acquisition numbers are so large that it cannot be allowed to fail. I mean, he asked the question, are you saying you're so big that you cannot be allowed to fail?
This happened in the banks also. Now it's happening in IIFs in India. So, can they be allowed to fail? You please answer. I don't have answers. I can put more questions. I specialize in questions. I don't specialize in answers. Okay? That is my strength, is more questions. And yeah.
But do you believe that is?
See, whether I believe it or not, that's the reality. It's like the banks in US, many of them could not fail because
the ILFS did not fail on strategy. It failed.
No, I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not saying they failed on strategy, but I'm saying that as a strategy, though, people don't want some things to fail.
It is subsequent.
Yeah. So they don't want it because they feel people collectively at the helm will feel that the failure will be, it's like curing some disease, like a cancer. Now, which is more painful, having the disease or having the treatment? So this is a view. We don't know what is right. So somebody takes a view and a decision. Leaders take decisions. So it is very true that people don't want some things to fail. Yeah. So strategy for funding. If you have questions, please ask, because these are important. Only when you ask me questions, I can give you my perspective. Right. And this is, like I said, based on 30 years experience as a chartered accountant, and I am teaching. So I have been teaching this 20, 30 years now. So yeah, any questions you have in that space, you can ask. So funding, just to summarize, when you are funding, please don't look at yourself. Look at the entrepreneur and where the entrepreneur is going to go in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. What is the exit? Is it IPO? Okay, does the entrepreneur, so you please ask, there are 2-3 types of entrepreneurs. One entrepreneur wants to go IPO, like the Infosys guys, right? There's another like K, Ganesh and Meena, they keep Tutor Vista, they will buy, they will sell. Now Flipkart also, they have come out of it, right? Now he's investing in other companies, Bansal. So they are just in the valuation and then they exit. They don't like to create the business and stay with it. And serial entrepreneurs, right? So depend, or some are lifestyle business. If it's a lifestyle business, and going back to my example, you can tell them, be a proprietor. Why do you want to go into corporate structure? You want it, instead of salary, you want a lifestyle, or for your family business. So please try to understand where the entrepreneur is, what is the entrepreneur's capability, right? And what is the entrepreneur's passion and energy. So you have to go, just like I'm questioning you, you have to ask, what do you want to do? What is motivating you? Okay? What is your dream? Okay? So all that you have to ask. If you want, I can share my checklist saying what is the dream, what is the thing, everything I question, So you actually have to go to that level. and then advise them on the funding. So first it's about the entrepreneur, because when you're starting in a startup, it is less about the business and more about the people. It is actually only about the people before they start the company. And we have all seen that. There are some people, if you see, you've all done your CA exam. You would have 3-4 people who studied with you, who have not cleared the CA exam. Why did they not clear? Are they less intelligent than you? But something made you clear and made them not clear. So there's something in you which will make you succeed. So similarly, there's something in some entrepreneurs which will make them succeed. So when you look at them and you talk to them, that's part of your funding strategy. So that's the fundamental point. Spend time, understand them, and then give them advice, and then help them get money. So there is an advisory piece, there is an analysis of the persons, then analysis of their future as a business, and then you put an action plan and help them get money. So there are phases, and at every phase you can play a different role. So when you talk of value add, where do you want to value add? You want to, for example, in my case, I have been very clear personally as Anjana, I have only value added in the person and the idea. I have not value added. Of course, I have a team and people who will help in writing a plan and valuation and funding. But personally, I don't write business plans because that is not my area of interest. Right? And we have a company where people do that, but I don't do that. So like that, you find out what interests you. Right? Where do you want to focus on? And then you become very good in that. Right? You had a question? Somebody? Yeah.
Initially when the startup goes, when it seeks funding, so what is it preferred, debt or equity?
See, equity, both have their costs. Okay, so debt, is there an ability to repay and service? They may not even have collateral or ability to repay. Then equity, but then are they geared for equity? Is there a valuation? Can it have that market? If they are not, then there's no point going for equity. So you have to not only look at what is best for them, what is the reality. The market may not, like I said, only 1 in 500 get money. So you cannot, but they may not be able to get debt. Today you see that, right? Not everybody can get a loan. So it is a hard business. Money does not come easily. And that is the reality in India. Okay. So funding assistance, like I was just talking about, right? So you look at business planning, you look at the business model, and you look at scenario and sensitivity. So when you're talking of cap table, you're talking of whether if it is a 5 crore business versus a 50 crore business. So that could be sensitivity, right? And the scenarios, pessimistic, optimistic, and sensitivity. What are the things we are sensitive to today in the business? One is foreign exchange fluctuation. What happens if they're very dependent on some foreign transactions? What happens if the dollar falls to 85? What happens if it goes to 70? How will it? So that's the sensitivity. Petrol prices, right? Airlines are all this thing. So depending on the business, you have to track it with 1 or 2 items. So plan, do a lot of planning and thinking, and then you may have to go through this 5-10 times. Then prepare a plan, a model. Right? This is a genuine model then. It is not a model just on paper, on Excel spreadsheet to get money. So there are 2-3 ways of doing it. There are people who just prepare a spreadsheet and they are brokers and they can get money. So again, you're making a choice. Do you want to do it that way? Right? Just write a project report and get money, or do you want to really add value to the business? So value adding is not just writing a project report on Excel, which mathematically is accurate, and getting a percentage. It is going beyond that. So you make the choice, right? And hand-holding. So like I said, there are different processes. Pre-deal, right? Who is the investor? Who could give me money? Should I go to the well-known names, or should I go to family and friends? Because strategically, if you are unknown, right, you may get from family and friends. You get 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs from few classmates of yours who know you and know that you will not cheat them, and they can afford to give 5 lakhs each. Right? So then if you get 25 lakhs like that, you go to one level, then you can go to the next. So that may be a strategy, and then you go since you've proved it. Right? Then of course the due diligence and negotiations, and post-deal. Post-deal you can say, I can be your strategic CFO. You don't have to hire somebody full-time. I am the expert, I am knowledgeable because I am working with 3-4 startups. Instead of hiring one person full-time, come to me. Right? Or you can have one accountant for doing your GST filing and all that, but I will give you strategic advice, how to grow. So these are different ways in which you can value add. I hope now it's a little more clear about when we are talking of value add, The same thing I'm saying, you can easily start to value add today. You just open your approach a little bit and test it out. Test it out with 1 or 2 people, right? A few clients whom you feel, you can even approach them and say, I can do this. Why do you want to go to somebody else, right? Or I will cut down on my audit. You get somebody else. So experiment with 1 or 2 people, and slowly then you get comfort, and then you can get into these areas, right? Due diligence. So from a due diligence, again, I'm not getting into it too much, right? Because so I have about 20 minutes, I think, right? So there are different areas, and you have the sessions, but specifically focus from a due diligence perspective on the deal aspects, right? It is like let us say there are 2 houses. Okay, somebody is selling in the row houses, and you enter the house. Like in Bangalore, when we enter the house, there are the taps in the front. So in one house, they have not replaced the washer, so it's all wet, right? And though the house is nice, but when you go enter, your shoes get wet. Okay, in the other house, it's okay. So then immediately you will feel like, oh, few rupees washer they have not replaced. So maybe that there is some problem with the house. So the value of the house, you may actually lose by a few lakhs. What is a few crores may become few lakhs less, the house value. Similarly, or worst case, the deal may be lost. They may say we are not buying this house, we will go for the other house. Right? So this is the same thing, technical aspects. Deal issues are so important because they lose value or they lose the deal. So focus on the due diligence to understand what are the deal depleter and deal maker issues. Okay, so again focus on 2-3 critical aspects. It's not like audit. It's very different. So if you start looking at due diligence like audit, the end purpose of due diligence is to get some deal happening. So what can prevent it, what can make it, what can get a good value for the deal. Start looking at it from the positives, from a deal angle and not from an audit, compliance, risk angle. Okay, that's what I want to leave with you. Saying it's not about doing your work in the same way, it's about thinking about the same thing but doing it differently. Right? I hope the point is clear. Similarly, valuation. So valuation is about science and maths. Right? There is a business plan, there is a projection, there is a cap table I talked about, there is valuation. What is the reason for the valuation? Right? And negotiation is what I want to leave a point on. So like I was telling you, I teach valuation. I have a valuation game which I teach. So there was this lady who was in my class in the Women Entrepreneurs Program in IB. I think this was in 2009 or 10. So she came from a family business, and we played the game on a Friday. It's a full day game, and then Saturday she was sitting with her father. Father was trying to sell a family unit, and he said, okay, since you've done this, you understand valuation, why don't you sell it? I want X crores. And she got double that, okay, just because she negotiated. So it is like if you go to Chickpet. Okay, now of course we go to malls to buy shirts. Suppose somebody goes to buy a shirt and someone says on the roadside that it's 1,000 rupees. There will be somebody who will pay 1,000 rupees, somebody who will get it for 200 rupees. Right? Traditionally we used to have that. So, but the price, so valuation is not about valuation, it's about how you bargain. And Hotmail, how many of you are aware of Hotmail? It was started by this Bangalore boy, Sabir Bhatia, right? So Sabir Bhatia sold it to Microsoft, right? So when he sold it, he got a fantastic price. Everybody was surprised. He got 4-5 times what people said he will get. He negotiated very well. And you know why he said this? He's supposed to have said this. He used to go shopping for vegetables with his mother in Johnson's Market. So it's actually, that is the skill in negotiations. And I have seen that in my, I can give you a lot more examples, how people have negotiated. Okay, so you have to be very shrewd. So how do you add value? See, what happens is usually the investor wants to get a very low value. They are experts, they are professionals in negotiating. The entrepreneur is not a professional in negotiating, mostly. So you have to become the professional partner and help them negotiate and push the value up. Right? So you can play that role also. I mean, genuinely, I'm not saying artificially. Like I said, there's a right way and there is the parallel cash flow way. I'm not saying do it the parallel way. I'm saying the regular way also you can negotiate and help them, right?
Any tips on that, ma'am?
I actually have I can share the note with you. I'm very happy to share my note. I have a blog post on valuation, on the points on valuation. I have some stuff. Because that is actually my great area of interest, negotiation. I will share that with you. You can mail me or I don't know how you want to reach out to me.
So if you can share with the slides.
Sure.
Or you can do a section on game theory with us also.
I can do a lot of sessions, no problem, but you should also have patience to say. So I will send my notes and material because I am teaching in this place. I have a lot of content. I'll be happy to share. I don't like to just share like that. If people are interested, I will share. Yeah. It's not about dumping. This is knowledge. If it's valued, it is meaningful to share. Okay. So. Because of the limitation in time, there's another very interesting story on negotiation, which I have. In fact, go to my SlideShare page. There is one. There are 2-3 examples on valuation. I will share that link with you. Before I finish my session, I'll share the link with you. The rest of it I'm going to do quickly because the main focus I wanted to talk on is over, and I'm open for questions now. In just about 5 minutes I'll open it for questions. Now for entrepreneurs, so I'm saying don't look at it as a job which is technical, right? Look on it as an advisor, as a trusted partner. Just like, if you're going to a doctor, what do you want the doctor to do? Tell you that you're alright or you will be alright. When the entrepreneur comes to you, they're not saying, oh, as per this standard, as per this law, you have to do this. They're saying, I have worked with people who said, Anjana, don't worry, we will take care of it. There will be no issue. I mean, of course, like I said, everything is done properly, but we never know, right? Law is so complex. So they don't worry, there is no problem, and if there is a problem, we will be there to help you. So that's the auditor I want to go to. That's the advisor I want to go to. Right? So it is very important to be a trusted person. And you see, interestingly, Cognizant also talks about ethics and trust today. Today there is a lot of lack of trust. Yeah, we don't trust anybody. So if people can trust you, then you for life you can do value add. So become that trusted partner, then you do advisory, mentoring, yeah, and financial literacy. So I think we had this conversation about audit. People seeing the auditor as somebody who does the balance sheet. In fact, I tell people. So of course, my mother tongue is Kannada, but and if I Kannada but there are many times people don't understand, right? So then, if I speak in my mother tongue and there's somebody who speaks in their mother tongue, we may not communicate. Language of business is finance. So as an entrepreneur, you must insist that they understand the language of business. So can you help them get to understand and not just say, sign, this is your profit. What does it mean? So this is a different approach then. You are really value adding to them. And so that's how that word spreads in the ecosystem, right? So here you become trusted, knowledgeable, you provide insights, right? Like I said, when I came for the session today, you had diligence in negotiation and valuation session. Now, why are you asking me for the material? Because I'm giving you an insight. I'm giving you something which I have understood and experienced, and I'm sharing it. So there is an experience and knowledge which you have, which you share. And you cannot put money to all that. Money comes, the universe will come back somewhere. Right? So if you start saying, I have to put it for a fee, that is separate. Don't undercharge yourself. That's a separate discussion. But are you providing this? And think long term. Right? For example, is it about saving cash in tax or is it about creating value? For a startup, it's about value. Right? So mentor teacher is again, developing a knowledgeable leader, right? Then this is a quick framework. It's just a framework which I have developed personally for my use. I call it, like we say, PBT, profit before tax. I call it PBRT. So anything I look at it from, whether it's even M&A or investment. The first thing is people. Today it's all about, everything is about connecting with people, then about the business aspect. whether it's profitable, valuation, etc. The third is regulatory, which is your tax and the law, and the fourth is time. Okay, so this again is for you to read later, but when I'm talking about people, do you align with the startups? Like again, I'm going back to values and ethics, etc. Right? Are they having a different view to your view? Right? If you say do it straightforward, they want to do a shortcut, or you say do the shortcut and they are ethical, then your chemistry does not match, your way of working does not match. So you're not going to be a long-term partner. Right? Better not to take up that. So similarly, so do your check and verification before that, and the reputational capital, etc. So the people you check multiple things. Then from a business point of view, the idea has to become a business. So like you asked, how many years? All those things you have to go into, right? And the business model is one piece which becomes very important, and the non-financial aspects, right, which we typically don't think about. When I'm talking about business model, I have given you the framework here. It's a standard tool. What do we mean by a business model, right? For example, when there was a time when the malls were going empty. So one of the leading e-commerce retail stores said, I will not pay you rent, right? But instead I will pay you a percentage of my revenue. So instead of paying 1 lakh rent, they say we pay 0 rent or 10,000 rupees rent, and we pay you few percent of every sales. So then what has happened from a financial point of view? Revenue share. So it moves from the expense to revenue minus financial. What else?
Moves to a partnership perspective.
So it becomes a partner. So the mall owner is your partner to sell. The mall owner is not an expense. He's not your landlord, but he's your partner in selling. So a business model does something which is beyond finance. Right? Coffee day, when it started in Bangalore, I remember a lot of people saying, why will I pay 50 rupees for a coffee? Right? But what did coffee day do? And those with grey hair will remember. Before that, where would we meet? Meetings for startups used to happen in Gateway and Oberoi and other places. Then it started happening in coffee day. So it is not about coffee, but it's about a meeting room. It's an experience. So business models are not about finance only. So again, help the entrepreneur design a business model, right? Regulatory, the last point I talked about, impact on the structure on the brand and growth. Time, and this is where, this is my favorite. Don't think of time only in today's time. And I picked this up from Nanda Lelekani's point in 2006 annual report. He says Infosys used to plan in 3 horizons. Today, immediate, okay, and immediate is also like a rolling budget. Then 3-year direction. Then there's a dream. In 10 years, we don't know what's going to be there. But you start with the dream. It's always dream, right? Putting a man on the moon, flying, climbing Mount Everest. So what is that dream? What is the entrepreneur's dream? What's your dream? It starts with that, and then you put the planning. So look at everything, and this is a checklist for you also. So from an approach point of view, when somebody comes to you, initially you may still fumble, but what is the requirement? How much time will you take? What's the effort that you are billing? What's the output? If it's a business plan, am I creating a spreadsheet? Am I creating a document? Is it a PDF file? Right? Is it a note? And then how do I make again starting from the customer point, because is my quality, and I was talking about being trusted, that is actually your sales. Do you think of service as a sales marketing exercise? Because if you give good service, they will be happy. Definitely they need it, they will talk to their friends and network, they will give good info. So what is the service quality you're providing? So from your approach point of view, then from your documentation, pre the engagement you have your NDA, get all the legal papers correctly, and this of course is your area, you will be strong, but just make sure from a startup point of view you're following the right things. Keep minutes, so that where do they want to go, right? Many times we don't document and keep minutes. Keep some minutes, then presentation and your advisory, and finally give suggested action plan. Saying this is what you should do, maybe you should go to these 2-3 investors, maybe this is the kind of valuation. How do I get valuation? For example, how do you increase value add? get good advisors on board. If you're a startup or you come from a college, straight fresh as a student, why don't you take a professor who knows you well as an advisor? Then people will know that they can trust you. You're a good student. Right? So these are simple ways in which you build the value. Right? So give those kind of advice and inputs. Right? You must be having ideas. I'm just giving you examples. And yeah, so basically in the appendix I have this business model. I've shown you these two. The valuation is, like I said, before to after negotiation. Where do you want to value add in this whole ecosystem? And then I have given you 2 case slips, right, with some solutions. So if you're an investor, if you're an investing from a funding point of view, if you're an investor, if you're somebody raising money from both angles, don't look at the answers, look at the questions and analyze it, and then some suggested answers are there. So that's the homework I was talking about. And I think I just have about 5 minutes or so for question answers. Yeah, I'm happy to take any Q&A. In the meanwhile, I'll try to. This is connected to the net, right? Is this connected? Internet? Yeah, please go ahead with the questions if you have any.
Internet.
No? Internet connected, is it? Okay, then it's good. I just wanted to show you my SlideShare page, but it's okay. I will send the link. It's slideshare.net/Anjana Vivek. Maybe I should. I will write it for you. I have about 30 slides there plus a 15-page note on valuation and writing a business plan. Right? So, any questions?
Friends, we had a very good session and a lot of valuation for each one of us. Let us thank the madam for her valuable time and knowledge sharing with a round of applause. I request our senior member and past chairman of Bangalore branch to come forward and present a memento to the speaker as a token of appreciation and gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand with me once again. Let us break for the tea and reassemble for our next session in 15 minutes. Thank you.